everyone. Welcome to this second technical talk from SELISE. Today we will talk with Ashaduzzaman Shanto, who is from Insurance and Banking. So let us start. Hi, Shanto.
Hello,
calling you Shanto. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So you are working in insurance and banking as a head of technology.
Yes, right.
So can you actually tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here. So I'm Mohammad Ashaduzzaman. I've been here in SELISE for about 9 years and working now currently as a head of technology in insurance and banking unit. In this unit, we have almost 80 people. We're working
80
together.
people?
Yes.
All of them are developers? Or?
No, around 55 to 50 people are developer,
okay.
And others are business unit and many of our quality assurance engineers.
Right. So
yeah.
Mixture of business analyst, product
Yes.
manager, product acceptance analyst, that's something that we call to the QA.
Yes, right.
And the developers.
Yes.
Right.
So it's a big unit, yeah.
Right, exactly. And you are like kind of overseeing all the projects and everyone. It's
Yes.
kind of a challenging task, I would say.
That's a big task because we have around 9 projects that are running currently.
Okay.
3 are in maintenance mode and many are upcoming that we have pitched and working currently with the clients.
Okay.
So it's a big unit, big projects, and yeah, challenging.
All right. So, what are the category of the projects that you have in your unit? For example, what are the type of project? Because the name of your unit is insurance and banking. So I would assume that those projects are mainly based on insurance sector and the banking sector. So, can you actually tell us a bit about the categorization of the projects that you have
yes,
in your
sure.
unit?
So most of the applications that we develop or work with the clients are based on insurance and banking. There are a few projects which has a bit of different touch, different from different industries, but still we are working with those. So we mostly work with the clients who has products in insurance industry or in the banking industry, who has products that are mostly for the users who are connected to these industries. So our concerns are with them. And the other products that are kind of slightly related with this industry.
With the same industry?
Yes, right.
Okay. One of your project is involved with something called insurance aggregator. So, when we say about the insurance, because on the insurance sector, for example, in the Europe and especially in Switzerland, there are like many parties and the many type of insurance company involved. For example, one is the insurance provider, another one is probably broker, then you have the end user who get subscribe to this insurance.
Right.
So I know that you was working, or you probably still working on that project, like the insurance aggregator thing. So can you explain a bit about that product? Because when we say aggregator, then we normally understand that, of course, there are like multiple places that you have to get the data and also probably have to process, then again have to send that data to the multiple places.
That's right.
So, yeah.
So about the insurance aggregator, we have multiple clients from this type of clients that we are working with now. If I want to explain it in a way, so aggregator is something that different parties are coming together to a specific platform to share their data and get benefit from those. So we have clients like that, and we have developed a solution where different brokers or insurers can come together in the same platform. They can share their APIs, share their data with us. They can get the benefit of our APIs that we provide and aggregate the solution together. So this is a big system because we have to be concerned about the type of integrations that they are proposing to us.
Exactly.
So everybody doesn't talk in the same way. They have
probably
different
like
ways.
Totally different payload, one from another,
Yes.
and how you are sending the data. Those are also kind of different.
Yes, even if I be more specific, in different tech stacks they are talking to us.
Yeah.
So there we had to be very specific and very much aligned with the system, and
Right.
It's working pretty well now because we have worked on different technical solutions here which are very complex, but it worked out well.
So basically like to deal with like large amount of data. So when we talk about the data, how you ensure the data privacy, for example, to make sure that the the place that where you are keeping the data, and also the application which is used to connect with those data, and the security, all the layers to make sure that it doesn't get leaked, or the one customer's data has not been shown to another customer. How are you ensuring that?
For that, we had to be very much precise in two ways. So we had to make sure that we understand, everybody in our unit and the company understands what is the data privacy policies, what we need to know, what we can share and what we can never share.
Right.
We had to look into this very seriously, and for that SELISE has taken different initiatives. Every year you already know that we have certification, internal certifications and exam process where we get aligned with the current policies that are there in Europe.
Right.
If I be specific, so we need to know what
GDPR.
is GDPR exactly, and what is FADP for specifically for Switzerland.
Yeah.
Many of our clients are there. So for resources purpose, we do these trainings, and we try to know and pass through the exams just to make sure that we know what we can share and what not. And in the system specific solutions, it depends on the understanding between the clients and us, because we have infrastructure that is hosted in completely Europe and different regions of Europe. So the data is there.
I mean, for example, that I think most of your application is subscribed to Blocks.
Yes.
For the application development and also the Blocks platform, that where you actually can keep the microservices of Blocks and your services as well.
Yes.
That is based on Azure.
Yes.
Says Switzerland North.
Yes, right.
Right. Okay.
So there in the Blocks infrastructure, if we go there, we have a secure process to access data.
Right. Right.
So there are levels and authorized levels who can access what type of data. If I want to give access to some data who shouldn't have access to the production level of system, then we have to anonymize those.
Right, exactly.
We have process to share
just
data
to understand the analytics of those data rather than to look at the actual data itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
And also in the technical side, say the programming side or in the server side. So when we have to provide a safeguard to the data, then of course we are like familiar with those normal things like the SSL, then like not keeping the database into the public network, then
Right.
also on the application making sure that we have the restriction on the column level and the row level as well.
Right.
Then also in the application we have the filter, so we can verify the auth 2.0 token and understand the role and to make sure that who is going to able to see which data, right?
That's true. That where comes the data security.
Right.
So we have it's a company-wide policy and protocol that we follow to get access to the data so that the authorized persons can see the data.
Sure.
Yes.
When talking about Azure, Switzerland North, like where we have like our main data center from Blocks. I know that for a specific customer request, you also have to do something else for one of your project, that you cannot really come to the cloud for certain jurisdiction or their regulation or something, then but you are still working on that and you are still deploying application to that server. So I mean, can you explain us a bit like how are you doing it?
That's an interesting one, because when we get out of our ecosystem,
Comfort zone as well.
yes, comfort zone as well, because we know how it works. So that way we have to be very much careful, because at first we never knew that our system will get into a different environment and work properly or not, how
Okay.
it will behave.
Right.
So for that we had to do many analysis, and we worked on those. So it's something, if a country has a regulation that you cannot share your data outside this country.
Right.
You cannot put your data outside your country.
So it have to be like a specific country
Yes.
only, not even in the Europe.
Yes, not even in Europe's every other countries.
Right.
So that way we had to follow their protocols. Where should we keep their data? The providers, their in-house infrastructure, on-prem infrastructure, their private clouds, and we host our whole system there in their ecosystem.
Right.
And we cannot access their ecosystem directly
At
because
all.
we don't have that permission to access it from Bangladesh.
Right.
So for that, we had to create a copy of such system in our environment. We test the full system here, and then make the deployment. And we don't deploy it in a regular process that we do.
Not in Kubernetes?
No, we don't do that there.
So what is the server like?
For one of our customers is IIS, because that's their requirement.
All right.
Because the system is there.
In one IIS, so I mean, assumably that's a Windows server that you're running all the block services into that server.
Maybe in one or multiple instances, but yes, that's running there. And for deployment, we had to write custom scripts.
Okay.
So
when you're making a deployment request, so you were like giving the repository some kind of zip file, also with a script.
Yes, right.
Then that script basically replacing the previous code with the new modified version of the code and get deployed.
Yes, and also takes the backup of the current systems. It takes backup. Yes, and then it deploys the whole sites or applications in the server.
Right.
Give us logs, makes logs and error logs if there's any. So that's how it works. Okay. Without touching them, we're doing everything.
Interesting. Okay. What about that new vibe that we are having now, ChatGPT? For example, while you're trying to write a code or you're trying to say see or evaluate your code, I mean, did you ever try to use the ChatGPT?
Yeah, in our unit we are doing it in different cases actually. Like for developers, we use it to just take the codes that will be shorthanded, helping hand.
Okay.
So we ask them something that we already know. We don't rely on them, but we take help. So just I don't have to do it myself.
Right.
Taking the time. For UX, I have seen interesting things. So you give ChatGPT or such AI model tools, LLM tools, or very advanced tools are there. So you give them instructions. So like I have a requirement, I have to make a product that's related to insurance industry. This type of user will get access to it.
Right.
And after that, I saw that it gave us a whole new set of UIs there.
Okay.
And it's fun to work with these tools, but we mostly not rely on them completely. We take help from them.
I think we probably have to wait a bit. I mean,
till they get mature more.
Till they get like matured more.
Yes.
Because what I have seen using the ChatGPT for the writing the application, you actually can get one method or function done properly using the ChatGPT. But if your code base getting larger and there is a like cross connection among the functions, then it actually messing things up.
That's true.
So basically like a chunk of code that you can probably feed into it, then can get the output. Then you probably can figure out like if it's okay to use that code or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to be very specific when you're using it. So,
right.
Yes.
And also from some customer, while we write some code for the customer. Before that, one thing about the blocks is, I mean, you know that blocks is going to be open source anyway. So I mean, we don't have any problem to feed the code from blocks, which is open source, through the ChatGPT. But there might be a certain restriction when we write code for the customer, then we definitely cannot fit all our code or a chunk of the code into the ChatGPT. That's something that we are also ensuring.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
We had to ensure that as well.
Okay. Talking about the developers who are working in your unit. So of course you go through with the recruitment process and everything. So for example, you recruit someone junior, someone senior, but it always need to have a learning curve. Doesn't matter whether he's a junior or whether he's a senior.
Right.
Maybe you can consider that when you onboard someone junior, you will take like more time, and when you onboard someone senior, then you basically will need to have like a bit less time than that. But how this training process actually works, how you make sure that everyone knows before at least before they make a mistake, at least they would validate that whether they are making a mistake or not, especially when we consider about writing the code in our large microservices kind of architecture. How you do that?
As our unit is very big and we have many projects, when we hire someone, it has to be for a specific project.
Right.
So we know the requirements, what kind of resource we are looking for. For that, after the hiring process, the resource is assigned to our unit, and I send them information or like an email that what's the goal for the next few months for that resource.
Okay.
So there I strictly write the things what he has to do, who will guide him. So a senior person is assigned to that person who's joining us, and then he gets trained in our process, what we do. So he gets time to understand how we work, what is the infrastructure that we are using, what type of terminologies we are using internally to understand us. So he gets the time to understand those.
I also need to read the documentation.
Yes, right. We have
like to write the course, and also need to understand our platform.
Right.
Like the multi-tenancy, the architectures. And
yes,
everything.
yes.
Okay.
They need to be very aware of that. And we share everything with them. For outside of the scope learning, we use Udemy, that we have the license for us.
Yes.
And we share that as well. So it's a learning process that he will enjoy actually.
Right.
And learn actually.
And also with the touch of the professional works as well at the same time.
Yes, right.
Right. When talking about the architecture, I mean, say you are the head of technology of the insurance and banking. So, I mean, in our blocks, we don't really support Kafka yet, for example. Let's just go into like a bit like a deep technical conversation. So we don't use, we have not yet implemented anything regarding Kafka into our blocks application. But for the insurance banking, I mean, I'm pretty much sure that you have used Kafka somewhere. So, I mean, can you actually basically tell us like why you have used Kafka or why you haven't used Kafka, and what is the reason?
Okay. So before using any specific technology, we in our whole company, we do one thing, that do we actually need it or not?
Right.
So
validation.
Validation, yes. So we have a few projects where we have used Kafka, and many projects that we have used RabbitMQ.
Because RabbitMQ is like generally available from the blocks, and it's really has a defined architecture, how to consume, how to publish and everything.
Right.
But we don't really have anything on Kafka yet in the blocks. Right?
Yes, right.
That's
so,
why.
The block services, we are using RabbitMQ, but we are not restricted to use Kafka anyway.
Right.
We are not restricted to from that. So we are using the RabbitMQ process, in which projects that are more likely huge volume of data,
right?
But the throughput is less. So we have such banking solutions where we have huge data processing,
right?
But it doesn't have to be like processed instantly. Okay. We can take time there. So there we are using RabbitMQ, but there are such cases where the processes will process the data instantly and inform us. That way we are using Kafka. But there are different cases as well where we can agree or deny.
Okay, sure. But I mean, what is the main difference between the RabbitMQ and the Kafka? For example, Kafka is very scalable.
Yes.
Like it also supports the streaming, but where RabbitMQ doesn't. So of course, I mean, if there is a business case where we need to have this streaming data, then we need to go to use the Kafka.
Right.
And where we don't need to have it, then RabbitMQ is the way to go.
Both are well performant. We have seen it. Right. So both are doing good. Just
and in some projects,
cases.
we are using even sourcing, as I have seen. So, but in that specific project is actually in your unit's project, and that use Kafka as well.
Yes.
So that's really very interesting.
Yes, right. Okay. So it's just for the client requirements, and the project actually need that support.
The product requirements, and if the customer specifically say that I need to have these
and these
for
features.
This architecture, and the customer is really technically like very solid and sound, and he can define the process, then we define basically
we are open for
anything.
Yes, right.
Sure. When we considering managing 50 developers, and say how many projects you have said? 9 projects.
9 projects.
3 of them are in maintenance.
Okay. Out of those 9 projects, 3 are in maintenance mode.
Right. So isn't there certain challenges, like how you do like progression on the delivery and how you do the maintenance? For example, the world is changing. So does the version of the codes.
Yes.
For example, the .NET, the Angular, the main 2 things that we use. And that gets changed, like Angular probably changes twice a year, right? And .NET probably at least once a year. I mean, it doesn't have like strict schedule like Angular, right. But I mean, it also changes at least once a year. So now I probably have seen yesterday .NET 8 is like generally available. So I remember that it's probably a year before the .NET 6 was launched which was a LTS, long-term supported
right.
version. So yesterday maybe the .NET 8 is like now generally available. So how do you keep up with the versioning, the new versioning? Because of course you cannot stay in the old versions and keep doing things legacy. So how are you making sure that?
So infrastructurally, we have a push to upgrade, because when we are using blocks, we have to update to the latest versions, because the blocks is upgrading as well.
Right.
So, and we are not afraid of that, because we do it gradually and frequently when the update comes with the stable versions.
Right.
So for that, we have to analyze the system. What are the migration costs that comes after the upgradation? And yes, we do it because we cannot be so far away from the latest branches or latest fixes. There are many patches. So we take time, we make process in which versions will go to the which environment when the testing will be done. And after
so it's
that,
like a
the next
thorough
one,
planning.
we have a plan for that, yes.
Okay. But I mean, how do you make sure that you don't really break the service or break the code? For example, when you're talking about the version updating, it not only the runtime version you need to update, because there are also many dependencies, probably 10s, 20s, and more than that into each services. And those also need to be updated.
Yes, right. So we look into the, if we be specific, NuGet packages, or for front end, there are more packages in the NPM. So we do look into this as well. So upgrade those and then test in the dev environments and the different environments that we have. Then it gets to the production. In the dev environment, we have our quality assurance engineer, product acceptance analyst. Then
and also you have that SonarQube thing.
Yes, right.
So you can see that whether
we can see the reports there. So what's the we can get those benefits as well in the SonarQube.
Right. You haven't used Sneak yet, right? Basically, that is partially available, not like for the 100% like the SonarQube yet.
No, not yet. We haven't used that yet.
Okay, because that also can tell you about the vulnerabilities of the any open source
very important. Yes.
NPM.
We have looked into different solutions that are available there with Google and Microsoft.
There is another thing in GitHub called Dependabot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean that actually tells you if you need to do any version upgrade of any dependency and everything.
Okay.
That's kind of thing that is like generally available in our organization's repo that you can have a look at.
Ah, sure, yes.
Sure. So, I mean, how is your daily life? So, like, probably you have to start your day with a Scrum.
Oh.
Then you have to do like some technical conversation, making architecture decision. I mean, you can explain me a bit about that. How is your daily life like in SELISE?
Yes. So SELISE is offering everyone here work from home and work from your office, wherever it is.
Anywhere you want.
Anywhere we can work, but I prefer to come to office because it's fun.
Is it because fun, or you live very nearby from the office? I know.
Yeah, a bit nearby, yes, as well. Just one road away. So people come here and we start the day. It's a very fun way because we do the Scrum.
Right.
For me, in our unit.
But how you actually do the Scrum? Because I mean, when you consider you are having 9 projects at the same time, because then of course you cannot basically join 9 Scrum in single day.
No.
So I mean, how do you manage that? Like you do like kind of a routine base, for example?
I also have a plan for that because I know when is the deadline of every project.
Okay.
So, and I know when it's going to the testing environments where we need to get a demo from our team.
Right.
So I join the Scrum mostly when I see that we need a specific workload there and the resources there are very much busy. So I need to be there just to help them out.
Okay.
So I strongly make sure that they do Scrum very well because I think for a deliverable solution, you need to do your small works perfectly.
Right.
Scrum is that. So every day, if we keep doing that very well, I think that our delivery will be very good. So I sometimes join the Scrum, the plannings, and everything with the team. It's fun.
Right. Do you have any mechanism like Scrum of the Scrum? For example, that the technical lead from each of the projects join into another Scrum just to align themselves regarding the dependency? That's something I have heard that you are doing. So
yes, right. You also have that with us as well.
Because that's a different thing.
So yes, we have a bi-weekly sync with our team leads where we discuss what wrong and what rights are going there if they need any help or guideline. So we do that as well.
Okay. I mean, in your point of view, what kind of thing was like most challenging for you? Say technically, I mean, if you say that to do a certain thing for a specific situation that becomes like really challenging for you, I mean, can you provide us an example?
Every day I face many challenges because in SELISE we have many projects. We discuss outside of our unit as well. So there are challenges I face when people are reluctant to take changes. If a project is running very smoothly, sometimes we get used to the way it's running. We don't think about the project's future.
All right.
So we need to change the mindset of many people in our unit sometimes.
Right.
But they are really good. They understand it very well. Sometimes they need guidance for this. So we face challenges this way. And in technical way, the progression of every resources in our unit to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to grow.
Exactly.
That's a big challenge for us technically because when we are accustomed to a specific technology, it's not good for us. We are not roaming around and finding the solution in a different way, maybe in a better way.
Right.
So for that, the training sessions that we have, the internal things, internal trainings, that works very well.
Okay, and you are also familiar with the documentation that we have in the GitHub, and all your developers are as well.
Yes, right. But we shared that just in the first day they join our unit.
Okay,
we shared
so
that.
you shared the documentation.
Yes.
Like how the microservices works, how the architecture works.
Yes, right.
How to connect to a certain database, and what
is the multi-tenancy system? How we keep our data? How they get to access those data? The services, how they connect, communicate with each other, everything, yes.
Right. So, I mean, if the viewer will also be able to see that documentation very soon, as we are going to the open source, right?
Yes, right.
So
they will know how to use it.
Right, exactly. When we talk about blocks, because blocks is basically a, say, enterprise application development toolbox. So, the blocks is made actually such a way that you can deliver certain application just by writing less amount of code than usual. For example, if I say about our platform data service, which use the GraphQL, right? So to get the data, also make sure that it has like valid row level security, column level security, and also to write the data and also put like the proper roles.
Right.
From your insurance and banking, are you also planning to make something like that? Because, I mean, your unit must have something very specific.
Yes, so we get benefit from blocks very much because it has been tested in a different way by different projects. For our specific industry, we have planned to do something like blocks, but specific to our industry. And
so it's like insurance and banking blocks.
Yes, we call it in a different way. We call it fin blocks, financial blocks.
Okay.
So it's a fun thing, but it's really important that we make sure the standard that an insurance industry needs, we put it there. And it came up because every insurance industry, clients, customers, they have some requirements that are very much similar. They have some features that everybody needs.
For example, aggregator.
Right.
So you basically have like multiple input from different APIs. Then you mix and match, basically making the mapper.
Yes, right.
And then you process the data, and then also provide like output in many places.
Right.
So I mean, you probably can do some kind of thing just to get the input various way, then have a configuration to map the data.
Yes.
And by using that configuration, that data can be go to output, like as output in many places. That's something.
That's something, exactly, a bit of something like that. And that way we have to make that platform. That is the fin blocks, where different types of consumers, different microservices will come and share their data. And because it's a standardized data in a different way to each other, we will be able to process it based on the configurations that we will maintain.
Right, and that can be your layer 2
Yes,
fin
right.
block service.
Layer 2 block service.
Right.
Yes.
So I mean, at the bottom there can be the block services, and on top your fin
on top
blocks,
of that,
and
we will provide
top
the
of that
service.
will be the customer application.
Customer application. That's right.
Right.
So we are still working on that and thinking about the progress.
Sure. Where does your unit is actually going to? For example, what is the vision in 2024 in terms of technology, in terms of like a product that you said, the fin blocks, probably white labeling of the products?
Right. The future stands where we see that after a few years, we will be able to make few of our services very much generic to everyone who wants to consume it.
Right.
For that, we have a concept of white labeling the products in a way so that we don't need to be very much business specific here. In insurance industry, there are many things that we can do in this way.
Right.
So we have that plan with us just to make sure
For the
that
next
next few years maybe
All right.
you'll see some products of us from us.
Right. Hopefully very soon.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. So let's conclude here. Thank you, Shanto,
Rezwan
for
bhai.
joining with me today.
Thanks for inviting.
So-
it was really fun.
In the conversation, we have discussed about your unit, about the developers, about the talent onboarding, how you do the
Right.
trainings, everything, how you leveraging the block service, and
Yes,
also
right.
how can you do the fin blocks. Really willing to see that very soon.
Looking forward to it as well.
Right.
It will be fun working.
This conversation was like a bit regarding everything.
Yes,
Like say,
overall.
I haven't gone through like a very specific technical thing yet. So I hope to talk to you again in the next episode.
It will be fun. Thank you
you
so much.
Thank you everyone who have been watching the video. We will come back again with more interesting topics. Thank you.